something I'm falling in love with at this point in the college football calendar. So Papa Shot is in the office space right next to our desk, so naturally we get a few shots up. Somehow still I am abysmal at Papa Shot, but it is what it is. But as of late, I've been having the methodology of I'm going to shoot something, or I'm going to shoot the ball, rather, not another object, only the ball at this point in time. I'm going to shoot the ball and cast a vision for something, and if it goes in, then it'll end up coming true, is my train of thought. The thought that I had, though, the shot that I took was if I make this shot and it goes in, Miami's winning the national championship. I'm not there yet. I'm picking a national champion at this point in February, but I am really falling in love with the idea of Miami going undefeated. Like, Notre Dame's the only one on the schedule here that makes you kind of raise an eyebrow. Everyone else, could they lose at Clemson? Could they lose against Virginia Tech to Pitt? Sure, but it would take something outside of what those teams have on their roster as it stacks it with Miami. Mensa, Tony, Cristobal in another year, all those things get me fired up about Miami and them going undefeated in 2026. I think it's very much so on the table, Kato. Not playing on my flag, but I'm falling in love with that idea right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it all comes down to, like we've talked about before, is the playoff run that Miami just made now the reps and can help you instill the culture to where you're not one of the teams we worry about losing games you're not supposed to lose during the season like they did last year, even before the playoffs.
Yeah.
Every year under Cristobal, pretty much. I think they've come a long way from the Georgia Tech taking a knee, mismanagement of the clock. And even this year, though, you have the Louisville game that comes front of mind to people, the SMU game. Like, are you now, after your playoff run, going through the gauntlet of Texas A&M, Ohio State, Ole Miss, and going toe-to-toe with an Indiana team where you had the ball last in that game and had a chance to go get it?
Yeah.
Do you take everything you learned from that and can bring it into the next season and be a team where week in and week out we can expect you to be consistent, or are you that team that's losing to Syracuse at the end of the year and squandering your playoff hopes like you did with Cam Ward at the helm? So I think that's what it all comes down to for me, and I think time will tell that. I think it'll be interesting to see, though, in general, if this is a one-hit wonder year for Miami or if this is something we can regularly see as far as them being in the playoffs, being in the national championship picture. I don't know where I lean as far as the undefeated. I think it's hard to go undefeated in general, and I still would say they could maybe have Mensa has a bad day. There's a couple things that don't go their way, whether it's a team like Notre Dame or a team they're not supposed to lose to. I wouldn't put them in the just because they went on a playoff run now I expect them to go undefeated this year, because I think there's still some room for them even to be a better team last year top to bottom when you look at the guys they lose on the defensive side of the ball specifically. But definitely more optimistic about them not stubbing their toe and being able to play cleaner throughout a whole season after watching how clean they were able to play in that playoff run last year.
One thing we've also seen, too, from Miami now in 2 separate years, 10-2 in the ACC does not guarantee you anything.
Nope.
Like they backdoored their way into that thing on Selection Sunday. Going back to the Cam Ward year, I would have paid good money to just watch at home, see Cam Ward in the college football playoff, and just see what would have happened if you put him on the field with anybody. But the fact that you went 10-2 and what you just said, you lose to Georgia Tech, you lose to Syracuse, and that ends up being the kiss of death for you. Hey, sorry, ACC, a 10-win team is not going to guarantee you a spot here. That makes that Notre Dame game in South Bend like that much more impactful, because maybe the game at Clemson doesn't mean as much. Maybe the game against Pitt doesn't have a ton of juice behind it in terms of like ranked opponents. So while the schedule looks appetizing if you're a Miami fan in terms of, hey, we should kind of run the gauntlet here, the margins very, very thin for our friends out there at the U. You drop one, all of a sudden it gets a little bit hairy and you're playing for your playoff lives right away.
Yeah, and I feel like for Mario Cristobal this year, there's a little bit of a prove-it factor, because I feel like it's kind of the universal problem that we have with Tennessee the last time we were on the desk that we talked about with Josh Heupel at the helm, where it's like you had the offense just in time for you not to have the defense and vice versa. Like, can you, if you're Mario Cristobal now, avoid next year being a year where, yeah, you have the flashy Darian Mensah, Cooper Barcade's in the full, Mark Fletcher's back, the offense is humming. Can you now have the defense to support that and prove that through the playoffs, and it's not the same. You're not doing the same thing you did last year, or 2 years ago rather, with Cam Ward. Is he going to be the coach now where you can give him enough pieces of the pie that work? Can he make it all come together and take you to the playoff? Because I feel like there are coaches that we know could do less with more. We're talking about the Kirby Smarts early in the season that we're calling this his best coaching job, because there's weeks where it's a low-scoring affair and his defense shows up and they have to win a dogfight, and there's weeks where you're going back and forth trading blows with Tennessee can they play that style of ball in Miami this year where they can adapt like they were able to in the playoff, where you have low-scoring games against Texas A&M's of the world, and then you have the Ole Miss game that was a little bit back and forth, and you win that on the last drive of the game when you have the ball in your hand. So I'm curious to see if Mario Cristobal now can just take all of these lessons and inject them into his team. He sounded like in his interview with us that they're putting their foot on the gas and they're not happy with just making it to the national championship. And I feel like if I had to be any coach in the country, it wouldn't be bad to be Mario Cristobal right now. Obviously, the weather and the perks that come with Miami, but also being able to have a lot to motivate your team with. The new people can now get instilled with that culture very quickly. That's a reputable culture that just went to a championship. And now all of a sudden it's just easier to get things done, knowing that in-house you've got things set up and you got people in the building that sniff that championship, know what it takes to get to that level, and can now maintain that level throughout an entire offseason and into next season.
Yeah, making sure Darian Menson knows, hey, we're glad to have you here, Darian, but we made the national title last year, and you were not a part of it, all right? So go get yourself an ACC championship and a national championship if you're the Canes. But again, think undefeated. So I'm not all the way in love, but I'm falling for it at this point in February.